Hi, I'm Annalise. So today's session is about videography and photography. Today I'm hoping that you can just use your phones, because I think teaching you specifics about aperture and shutter speed was probably too much today, and also teaching you how to actually edit was probably too much. That said, under the Digital Marketing Skills Programme, if you want me to help you one-to-one with video editing, that's something that we can do. So today what I thought we'd do is we'd just start. I'm going to do a combination today of like technical but then also applying it to business, because I thought that would be the most useful for all of you. So the first 3 golden rules of videography in anyone I've ever worked with is that you all start getting really cagey about filming yourselves or photographing yourselves. But you need to know you will dislike the way you look and sound and act on camera. This is a fact that I've never met anyone in my entire 20 years of videography who likes it. But no one will actually care how you look, sound or act on camera. As long as you tell and show them cool stuff that's useful, they will not care. So just always think benefit first. So if you've done the personal brand session with me, you'll know what I'm talking about with that. It's all about how you are beneficial to others. So why is video good? Why isn't it good? It's probably the most watched sort of medium now on social media and online. So basically it's the way forward, and if you're looking at brand personalisation, you're looking at building trust, you're looking at building real relationships with companies and customers, showing yourself, giving your face and a voice to your business is essential nowadays. Also a very quick way to relay information. People don't like to read anymore really, they don't really want to flick, they want to just watch, download, move on. So there's 3 types of videos I would say. One is awareness, so it's really raising a profile, so it could be your profile or the brand profile, and it's something like a good promo video, so something up to 120 seconds that entertains and sells a vision, a service, a product, that sort of thing. So we're raising awareness, we're letting people know you're here. And you know, a lot of people create social media accounts, they create websites, and then they don't drive any traffic to them. You have to, because the digital market space is absolutely saturated. So creating interesting video content is a great way to get people to look at you and pay attention. So we had a TikTok session a little while ago, and TikToks are amazing for this because you can get so much reach now on TikTok and then drive people to find out more. Engagement, so an emotional response in the audience. So they're gathering likes and shares and follows. And this might be something a little bit more around story-based content. So maybe thinking about funny videos or videos that are inspirational. And the example I would probably use here is, you know, there's a reason that companies spend a lot of money on Christmas advertising through videos of snowmen getting each other scarves and a little sad boy on the train and, you know, that stuff. It makes you feel something, and that's what we want to do. We want to make people feel something so they want to do something. And then finally, education. So you're targeting a specific audience and you're selling your skills. And you could think about with this sort of content, maybe a talking head or an interview style video, that sort of content would really work for you. This is the same for photography. So awareness, so, you know, meet the team photos, you know, showing your office space or where you're situated on North Cross Street. You know, emotional response, you might do, someone's in a bridal gown and they're looking absolutely so happy. It translates between photography and videography. That's why I put them in the same category. So what I want you to think about for video, and you might not want to do this today, but it might be something you think about in the future. When you're speaking on camera, we need to think and be conscious of filler words. Now, filler words are the ums, basically, yeah, that stuff. Just become super conscious of it. And if you want to script yourself, it's a really advantageous thing to do. And you can now script on transcript apps on your phone, and you can just read it. And sometimes that's a really good way to get away from that. That said, there's a nice movement into authentic content. So sometimes the more human you are, the better. But I still like something to look fairly polished, I think, because it gets in the way. Think about how quickly you speak and pause between each sentence that you say. You'd be amazed, and you'll notice with me, everything runs on and on and on, blah, 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 blah. But actually pausing and thinking about what you're going to say next. This is excruciatingly painful for me because it feels like an hour between each time I speak. But you don't really think so. You're like, this is awkward. Yeah, it's really important and also to breathe and to think about what you're actually saying. And then think about the audience as well. So there's an argument now around, not an argument, there's a statement now about the reading age online is 9 years old. So you need to write for a 9-year-old. It's the same with video. You need to think about how complicated the information is, how easy it is to understand. Can people pick this up and walk away and go, oh, it's about that? So you might understand it and be very much the custodians of your content and understand everything that you do. But really making it as simple as possible is definitely a way forward. And sometimes, you know, buzzwords and complex sentences and jargon, sometimes maybe writing it and then sticking it through ChatGPT to say, make this simpler, might be a good way to do that. Just steps you out of yourself and makes you think more about the audience. Yeah. Sound. Controlling the noise around you. So ambient noise, the fan, got people talking here, you know, people picking up cups and stuff. Just anything that can distract is worthwhile avoiding. But you could get yourself a little mic like me that plugs into my phone, and that takes out loads of noise. And if you imagine, this cord is really quite long, so I could put this phone on a windowsill facing me, and I'm suddenly getting nice audio, but I'm also getting nice lighting, and I'm controlling my environment. If you're filming in a quiet location in your home or fairly close to the camera, your sound should be okay. But make sure you've told whoever lives in your house with you that you're doing this and to minimise them dropping in. Oh, and I've put on there, look, you can get a little plug-in on Amazon or other places. Subtitles as well. So if your voice and your face is the key to your brand, there's an argument to say that you shouldn't use subtitles because you should encourage people to listen to you. That said, we do want to make sure our content's accessible for everybody. So you can do subtitling and captions. The good thing about it is you can send your content off to something like rev.com who can create subtitles for you. But nowadays, Adobe, if you do editing, but also auto-captioning on social media is really prevalent. So even on TikTok and stuff like that, you can get it to auto-caption. LinkedIn, Facebook, they auto-caption. So don't get too bogged down with it. So thinking about filming your setups, if you're filming yourself alone or you're filming in your shops or your businesses alone, you just want a single camera. So that is just literally popping this somewhere or maybe just moving it around. But if you want to be more experimental or you want to use more people, you might use something like this, which is a multicam setup. Now, you probably wouldn't use 3. You'd probably use 2 if it was a conversation, or you might use 2. One is capturing both of you and one is capturing the person you're interviewing. So that's a nice setup if you're going to think about that. And you can see what they look like here. So that's that person close up. That's the wide shot. And then that's that person close up. But you could get away with that if you're going to make that person the focus. Yeah? But this is complicated to edit. That's why it's tricky. So as soon as you start doing multi-camera, you've got to then think about how do I edit this together where they sync up audio-wise and I can cut them from to da-da-da. So that's where editing would really come in, and you'd need to know a little bit more about that side of stuff. And so setting, let's think about the setting and where you are, so home, office or a place of meaning, and make sure that it's representative of you. So something I learned when I trained as a counsellor is to make sure that that space is welcoming for everybody. And your video wants to be welcoming to everyone. So you want to make sure that you don't have lots of stuff in the background or it's not cluttered. If you're selling a service about mindfulness and your house is full of trash, it's probably not going to speak to your mindfulness. But it works in lots of different ways, like religious iconography or things that people might find offensive, especially in the business environment. So hopefully you wouldn't have that stuff anyway, but it's worthwhile just considering. The other thing I like about this image is the amount of natural light. So you've got, without these lighting setups, you've got an enormous amount of natural light. And then you've also got this dark wall here, which is a bit of a sucker. So it means that the light isn't going to reflect really harshly. It's just going to be kind of on you and then sort of bounce off that darker wall. So setting is important, but lighting is really important. So lighting's really important. Never have light behind you. Always have light on your face. And I like to think of this as kind of like, you know, the Hollywood era. Where's my light? Find the light. And it's really important because never be backlit, because if you're all like dark and people can't really see you, they're like, who the hell is that? What are they talking about? Like grainy, low light as well. So make sure light is always on your face. So if you were an artist here, this would be great. Your chair is there, you're kind of facing the camera, which you might put about here. All that lovely light is coming through. And also in the background here, you're shooting all this lovely stuff that's out of focus, which shows that you're in an artist's studio. So it's kind of a nice example. And then lighting as well. So golden hour lighting is some of the nicest lighting to light in, which is soft, warm light that is either dusk or dawn time. It's a great time to shoot video. It's great ambient and it's also quite moody as well, but it's soft and it's warm and it makes people feel good. But I always suggest to use natural light if you can, if you don't have studio lights. Now, very few people have studio lights. So if you're filming at home, always put the camera on the windowsill and look at the window. If you've got a nice net curtain or a blind, that'll make it even softer, like a natural softbox for you. So a natural light source, and if you've got curtains, like I've said, it'll make it soft. But grey skies are also quite a good shooting light. So people always say to me, oh God, it's really grey today when I'm filming. And I'm like, this is perfect, because I've not got the sun going in and out, I've not got the clouds happening. I haven't got harsh lighting on the faces like shadows. It's nice and soft, and that's what we like. So I want to talk a little bit about a few camera angles today and a few different ways of framing. So the rule of thirds is basically a good practice to shoot because it offers balance and interest. So you will see from this shot that most of the content is in this third of the shot. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3. The rule of third works in two ways because it also works on top, middle, bottom. So you can imagine that there are 2 lines going this way and 2 lines going down that way. And basically you'll see the donut there, the brown donut's in the top third, got a pink donut in the middle third and a brown donut in the bottom third. Yeah? So it's nicely positioned and it makes us think, oh, I kind of like that. It looks interesting to our eye and makes us feel engaged in that. If we wanted to film someone and interview someone, we might put them in that third. We might make sure their eye line is in along this line because that third would be nice and it would make us feel good and balanced. It's like a little psychological thing, really. Symmetry, obviously, balance gives you a sense of comfort because you kind of know what it's doing, and we like to pattern recognize as humans, and we like to spot things and structures, and we like our eye to look at things. So symmetry is a lovely thing to do. So flat lays you'll often see when someone's taken a flat lay of like a cup and a pot, there's some level of symmetry. So the cup is balanced with the pot and the spoon and the sugar. So we like symmetry. So it's a nice thing to think about as well. And then the other one is leading lines. So it's compositional technique. So it draws your eye. So we're not too bothered by this line. This could be a leading line, but it's these ones here and these ones here that are leading us down. So you'll often see with like photos or videos of bridges, it's like kind of you're going down a road, or there's absolutely loads of examples of leading. You can use nature to lead, you can use walls to lead the eye. If I was leaning against a wall and you shot down the side of the wall, it would literally be leading your eye to me. And then here's some other composition. So this is the rule of thirds I was talking about. And so that's an example of how the rule of thirds might work. So we see the top of the water here, the beach, the boat's in one rule of thirds, the trees in the other. Yeah. The golden spiral is this, which is quite an unusual thing to think about. It's quite but it just adds a balance to the eye. Diagonal is obviously fairly easy to understand, as is the V shape. Pyramid shape, an S, an L, and then a double diagonal as well. So they just add interesting angles that make you think you considered it, rather than just capturing every single thing in the shot. Because what it is if we capture every single thing in the shot through a video or photography, we're bored. We can see everything. Sometimes we want an interesting angle to be like, what's that then? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and then you see another shot and you're like, oh, that's like that. So that's why it works. And then we've got C shape. So there's an open space here. There's a C. The golden section here. So we've got this middle section. It kind of looks like the rule of thirds, but it's tighter. So everything's sort of happening right in the middle. V shape again. Unbalanced. So this is where things are weighted differently. Balance would be also symmetrical. Double diagonal again we've got there. And then we've got radiating, so we've got one point we're looking right down, so that's a leading line that's leading our eye to this point, but then everything is happening outside of that point because there's nothing there, everything's happening around it. You've got a tunnel, you've got the golden triangle there, circular, golden section, it's very specific, and then a cross. Cross is ultimate balance, someone's right smack bang in the middle of everything. So framing, frame yourself at the centre of the shot, and head and shoulders is ideal, is professional to be looking like that. Too close can be really intense, and too far away can leave a lot of blank space. So he's quite nice. The only thing that's wrong with this shot is that his head would not be chopped off. It would kind of end about there. But he's nicely framed, got a nice bit of space around him. So if he was stood in his office, we'd be able to see him nice and clearly, and a lot of the exterior as well. So this is an example of an extreme close-up. Extreme close-ups is literally where, have you seen that cowboy film? What is it, Good, the Bad and the Ugly? And it's just his eyes. That is, that's that shot. And it's about really that, it's quite noir-y. You just see what's happening. It might be because of emotional reaction to something. Big close-up, a little bit more of the face. Close-up, total face. Medium close-up. So medium close-up is where you are with your top and head for your own videos. So when you're sitting in your frame. So two shot, easy. Over the shoulder, that's basically if I was having a conversation with Emma, the camera would be behind me, getting in the my back of the shoulder, but focusing on Emma. Interviewee looks and walks into the space. So this is where you're following someone. I'll show you the video of this in a minute. And this is basically, again, a tracking shot. Mid shot, long mid shot. So the mid-long shot is also called the cowboy shot, because typically the cowboy shot is from the knee up, because you can see all their holster and they're like ready to pow pow. The long shot, you can see the full body. Very long shot. For you guys, if you're actually going to sell yourselves or a service, you don't want to really be using the longest shots, or this is intense and that's too far away. You want to be always in the middle. I always shoot everything in the middle, and people always say my videos are quite personal, and I think it's because of that fact. Tilted frame, low angle. So if we were doing a film, we were like, if I was stood like this, and you're all the camera, and you're looking up at me, what impression does that give? Any idea? I'm dominant. I might be a villain. I'm a villain of video. Yeah. Vice versa, if I'm looking down, what's the opposite, isn't it? Vulnerability, like, oh, I'm weak, fragile. And that doesn't have to be a huge tilt. That can be quite subtle, depending on what you're doing. But if you are, I've worked with CEOs before who've asked me to film them, and they've said, oh, can you actually just tilt it up a bit? And I'm like, don't worry, I'm on it. Because they want to be seen as an authority in their field, so kind of fancy. And this is some examples with actual photos, so you can see them. So it's really pixely. So this is a wide shot, wouldn't be very useful. That's a low shot, with exactly what we're talking about, villains. Long shot, the entire body. High shot, they're kids. Medium shot, so part of the body is in the shot. The cowboy shot, where it goes lower. It would actually go a bit lower than that. Dutch shot is when you're filming on an angle. I love to film on an angle, and I love to take a photograph on an angle. I just love it, but that's called going Dutch. Not just splitting the bill. Over the shoulder, so that's what I mean by over the shoulder. A close-up, and then a point of view shot is actually a great thing to do. If you want to show people how your business works, or a day-to-day in the office, or something like that, a point of view would be a really nice sort of video to take, you know, following and walking around and that sort of stuff. The next thing you want to do is, when you're thinking about videography for yourself, this is what you can put together, is a little storyboard. Now you can hand draw this, that's recommended, or you can just print off a grid and just write in there what you want to do. But it's definitely worthwhile, especially if you're going to tell a specific story, to make sure you think, right, establishing shot, where are we? What are we doing? So here's the wide shot of, this is what they're making a film, and then it's a close-up of Sarah speaking to the camera, and then it's a low angle pointing to Callum and props, blah, 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 and a close-up. So you want to start putting together a little bit of a storyboard about what you're trying to get out of it. The more people you have involved in your project, the more you want to storyboard it, because you can very quickly forget what you're doing. Another thing storyboarding is good for is because if you're going to do any fancy transitions, and by fancy transitions I mean if you went to a went to a shoot and you filmed yourself, and then you went and put your hand like that and you swiped through to the next shot, it like auto cut into the next video shot. If you've done that there, but you've shot this all out of order, it's not going to make any sense, and you're going to be like, oh my god, I need that shot to go there, so I need her to swipe here to hit to that shot. So you need to know when you're starting the transition and when you're ending it. Another thing you might want to think about is, and this kind of works even though this is kind of like a normal narrative, it's definitely worthwhile thinking about applying things like this to your company videos. So you've got the start, which is essentially your establishing shot, and then you've got something happening, a midpoint, maybe an obstacle to overcome, and then the outcome of that. So the reason that this is good is because in your videos, you want to kind of get to a point where people are like, oh, I want to book, I want to do something, I want to buy their services, yeah? So it might be that what it was is, you know, you've got your pottery studio, which shows all your lovely pots, and then you're showing more and more of your pots and the music's getting dramatic. You know, maybe you're doing making a pot and it keeps going wrong, and then you've got your lovely pots at the end. So it's how it can work to kind of create climax and make you interested in doing things. If you're actually storyboarding, then this is a classic narrative arc to follow. And actually, arguably, when I've worked with companies to do case studies and write up about their businesses and projects they've worked on, they always get really good interaction when they've talked about obstacles and challenges they've overcome, because it's really human. So then story, we want to think about what we're trying to convey, how we want people to feel, what we want them to take away, and what we want them to do after our video. So our videos exist for a reason, and we want to make sure that we're doing something with them. And the video should be a start of a process, so either engaging with a website, following, subscribing, booking, or something tangible. It might just be that you want to make videos for fun, which is fine. But you could include a call to action in the videos or captions and let them know what you want them to do. It's important for it to do something. So thinking about ideas, so what do you need to sell? So what is your product and service? What do you need to say? So thinking about your culture and your mission. And what does your brand stand for? So your values and your culture. So thinking about, you know, if you're wanting to create, again, a narrative arc around video to camera, you can say, hi, I'm blah, 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 and we do this. We do this because blah, 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 blah. And we do this so you can have X, Y, Z. So essentially that is essentially a little mini arc in itself in the way that you put that together. Because people really like to know about why you do things, what your mission is, what your team are like, what behind the scenes are like as well. So some ideas for you and your business. I've put some top tips and summaries. So this could be short, sharp videos that share a little tidbit of your information, like about and encourage engagement. So this is where, you know, TikTok sort of stuff can come in. And then about me and meet the team will do really, really well. Photography and or video would do very well for this. So thinking about creating a personal relationship with your team, that's someone talking about your why as well, or your teammates talking about your why, that's always good. Behind the scenes, so this, we were walking through with Emma into here, and we were like, oh, that's interesting, I want to see more. It kind of gave us a behind the scenes feeling, like we're part of the inside story. We see the day-to-day operations. And then interviews, so interviewing others or being interviewed. People love chit-chat. Podcasts are really popular now. A lot of podcasts are videoed because of that fact. A lot of editing goes on with that, which is a pain, but still definitely worthwhile, especially if you're wanting to be seen in a certain industry or to be partnering with certain brands, and you can have them on the show to be interviewed. That's a really good strategy for getting in front of their audience. So adverts, short, maybe funny, witty content people can engage with fairly quickly. How-tos, so different angles though, so it doesn't get too boring. A lot of people know how to do a lot of stuff now, so if you're going to show them a how-to, maybe get the angles in, so you're doing some extreme close-ups on stuff or hands, and slow motion's quite nice as well. Question and answer, so filming this live can work, but you need to make sure that you're capturing good audio from your audience. For the audience, you also could prepare questions and answers or go solo and think about what questions you get asked really often and turn it into a mini Q&A video. Now Emma and I worked at it a while ago where you were writing blogs because you get asked the same questions at events. Yes. And you were like, I'm going to answer these questions. You guys no doubt get very similar questions all the time. Or where do I buy that? And what material is that? And how is it eco-friendly? And da-da-da-da. Think about those questions and you can make little content about them. Or just be talking to camera. The question I get asked a lot is blah, 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 and then just answer it. You might also find like reviews and things like that. You might do little thank you things. It's really cute. Vlogs, so capturing the moment, documenting your day. People are absolutely hardwired into vlogging nowadays. And then Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives or TikToks, like instant TikToks as well. So it can be scary, can be fun. If you make sure you've controlled your setting and your lighting, but you know, you've also got to be multitasking. So if people ask you questions during that video, you have to be able to answer that while you're still talking about your original message. And then ideas, so testimonials, a really great way to reference your business, and sometimes more provable if you filmed someone saying how great you are rather than you write it down. Because writing someone said something about you is very easy to make up. But if you've actually videoed them in their offices, they can't say that they didn't say that. Demos and product showcases again, so lots of nice angles and close-ups, nice hand movements, showing things, and then talks and presentations. So every single time I've done one of these sessions, I've missed an opportunity without filming myself. A, because I look horrendous right now, but also I could use that content time and time again. I could snippet parts out of it and use it. So anytime you're doing anything, like particularly you might be talking about art on a bigger scale in universities, film that. Snippets for social media, long form content for YouTube. Great. I hope that you found some of that useful. If you do want to get in touch with Gosport Borough Council, you can do via the links below. And if you need any additional digital support, just let me know. Thanks very much.